Snow buries Boston's streets, heavy and relentless, as a voice cracks through the phone. "Clara, I'm coming. Stay where you are." "Ethan." Caldwell grips his cell, his heart pounding like a hammer on steel. His sister's sobs cut through the static, raw and desperate, pulling him out of his quiet apartment into the storm. "They won't let me in. Ethan, I'm outside with Lila and Nora. Who's Clara? Why's she stranded, and why's Ethan racing into the night? Boston's a city that wears its winters like armor." Snow piling high on Beacon Hill, where Ethan lives in a third-floor walk-up. The apartment's small, with creaky floors and windows that rattle when the wind howls. At 38, Ethan's a structural engineer, a man who builds bridges to hold weight, literal and otherwise. His life's a blueprint, precise, measured, every beam accounted for. Mornings start with black coffee, the drip of the machine, a steady rhythm against the city's hum. Evenings end with Sophie, his wife, her laugh thawing the day's stress. She's a public defender, sharp and warm, her eyes catching light like the Charles River at dusk. They've been married 5 years, dreaming of a brownstone, maybe kids someday, a life drawn in clean lines. But Ethan's world isn't just his own. His sister, Clara, 32, used to light up rooms with her fire, a journalist chasing truth like it was oxygen. She'd spin stories at their parents' dining table in Wellesley, her hands dancing as she described exposing corruption or giving voice to the forgotten. Ethan, quiet and steady, admired her spark, even if he never said it. Their parents, Nathaniel and Eleanor Caldwell, were different, polished, rigid, living for the neighbors' approval in their colonial-style home. Nathaniel, a retired banker, ironed his shirts for grocery runs. Eleanor, a charity board member, wielded her smile like a shield. "Reputation is everything," she'd say, her voice soft but cutting. Ethan and Clara grew up under that weight. Him the rock, her the flame. Now, Clara's voice trembles through the phone, and Ethan's world tilts. Snow pelts his apartment window, a curtain of white hiding the city's glow. He's always been the one to fix things' cracked beams, shaky plans, but this. His sister, alone with her 5-month-old twins, cast out by their parents. It's a fracture he can't calculate. The snow outside isn't just weather. It's a warning. Something's broken, and Ethan's about to find out how deep the cracks run. He grabs his coat, keys jangling, and steps into the storm. The city's lights blur, street lamps glowing like ghosts through the flurry. Clara's out there, somewhere, with Lila and Nora, and Ethan's all she's got. His truck's engine roars to life, tires crunching snow as he speeds toward Wellesley. What happened to Clara? Why would their parents turn her away? The answers lie ahead, buried in the blizzard, waiting to unravel everything Ethan thought he knew. Ethan's truck rumbles through the blizzard, wipers slashing at snow that falls like a judgment. Clara's voice still echoes in his head, frail but sharp with panic. "They called me a disgrace. Ethan, I'm outside their house with Lila and Nora." His knuckles whiten on the steering wheel, the cold seeping through the cracked dashboard. Boston to Wellesley is a 40-minute drive on a clear day, but tonight, with snow choking the roads, it feels like crossing an ocean. The radio hums static, a faint jazz tune breaking through. But Ethan's mind is on Clara, his little sister, the one who'd light up their parents' dining room with stories of forgotten people she gave a voice to. What could have broken her so badly? Clara's words replay Derek, her husband, cheated. The man who'd swept into her life 3 years ago, all charm and tailored suits, a marketing exec with a smile that sold dreams. Ethan never trusted him too slick, too perfect. like a bridge built on sand. Clara loved him fiercely, though enough to marry him after a year, enough to carry his twins, Lila and Nora. Ethan remembers the hospital visit. Clara glowing despite exhaustion, her blonde hair damp as she whispered, "Look at them. Ethan, my whole world." He'd stood there, awkward with a bouquet of daisies, her favorite, feeling his heart crack open. Now, Derek's betrayal has shattered her, and their parents Nathaniel and Eleanor have done worse. The truck's headlights catch the Wellesley exit, and Ethan's stomach twists. He knows the street, the colonial house with its manicured lawn, now blanketed in snow. Nathaniel and Eleanor's world, where appearances trump everything. Reputation is everything. Eleanor's voice rings in his memory, her smile tight as she lectured Clara on keeping a perfect home. Ethan always played along, the steady son. But Clara, she burned too bright for their rules. The truck slows, and there she is, Clara, huddled under a street lamp's weak glow, snow clinging to her thin coat. Lila and Nora, bundled in blankets, sleep against her shoulders, their tiny faces red from the cold. Clara's eyes meet Ethan's, red-rimmed, empty, like the fire in her has been doused. "Ethan!" Her voice breaks, barely audible over the wind's howl. He leaps out, snow crunching under his boots, and kneels beside her. "I'm here. Clara, I'm here." He pulls the blankets tighter around the twins, his hands steady despite the rage boiling inside. How could they do this, Nathaniel and Eleanor? Turning their daughter away, their granddaughters, all to save face. Clara stumbles to her feet, shivering, and Ethan guides her to the truck, settling Lila and Nora into the car seats he'd bought for some future he hadn't planned yet. The heater hums, a weak defense against the chill, and Clara stares out the window, silent, clutching a soggy blanket. Ethan wants to ask about Derek, about what happened, but her hollow gaze stops him. Instead, he flicks on the radio, a soft melody Clara's old favorite, a Nora Jones tune filling the cab. Her shoulders ease, just a fraction. The drive back to Boston is slow, snow piling higher, but Ethan keeps his eyes on the road, his mind racing. Clara's broken, his parents are monsters, and he's all she has. The city looms ahead, lights dim through the storm, and Ethan knows this is just the start. Something bigger's coming, a crack in the foundation of his life, and he's got to hold it together for Clara, for Lila, for Nora. The snow doesn't quit as Ethan's truck pulls into Boston's Beacon Hill, the city's glow muted under a white veil. Clara sits beside him, silent, her hands gripping the damp blanket like it's her last anchor. Lila and Nora stir in their car seats, soft whimpers breaking the quiet. Ethan's apartment, a cramped third-floor walk-up, feels smaller than ever as he carries the twins inside, their tiny bodies warm against his chest. The familiar creak of the floorboards, the hum of the radiator, the faint coffee scent, they're no match for the chaos Clara's brought. Sophie's waiting, her dark hair pulled back, her public defender's calm masking worry. "Ethan, what happened?" Her voice is soft, but her eyes lock on Clara, who slumps onto the couch, still clutching that blanket. Ethan sets Lila and Nora in a makeshift crib blankets, piled in a corner, and recounts Clara's call Derek's affair, their parents' rejection. Clara left in the snow with the twins. Sophie's face hardens, but she kneels beside Clara, offering a mug of tea. "You're safe here. Clara, we've got you." Clara nods, barely, her gaze fixed on the twins, like they're the only thing keeping her tethered. Ethan watches, his engineer's mind scrambling to stabilize this mess. He's built bridges to withstand storms. But this is uncharted. days blur into a new rhythm, jagged and unsteady. The apartment, once a haven for Ethan and Sophie's quiet evenings, now hums with Lila's cries and Nora's giggles. Diaper bags pile up by the door, bottles clutter the counter, and Ethan learns to change diapers between sips of cold coffee. He's up at dawn, reviewing blueprints for a harbor bridge project, then soothing Nora when she wakes. Clara tries, but she's a ghost of herself, curled on the couch, staring at the twins with eyes that don't see. Sophie steps up, warming bottles, humming lullabies. Her patience a bridge Ethan leans on, but cracks start to show. Sophie's sighs grow sharper when Lila wails at midnight. Her smile tightens as she moves her law books to make room for Clara's things. One night, Ethan finds Clara scribbling in a worn journal, her pen moving fast, like she's chasing something. "What's that?" he asks, setting a coffee mug beside her. Clara hesitates, then slides the journal over. "Just thoughts. I don't want to forget who I was." Ethan reads a line. "The snow buried my fire, but it's still there, somewhere." His throat tightens. Clara's still in there, the journalist who lit up rooms. He nods, says nothing, but hope flickers a small spark in the storm. Sophie's patience frays, though. She catches Ethan in the kitchen, her hands gripping the counter. "Ethan, I'm trying, but this..." She gestures at the cluttered apartment, the crying twins. "It's too much. I'm drowning." Her voice is raw, and Ethan feels the weight. "Clara needs us, Sophie. She's got no one else." Sophie nods, but her eyes are distant, like she's already slipping away. The snow outside keeps falling, dusting the windows, and Ethan feels the foundation of his life shift. Clara's finding her spark, but Sophie's fading, and he's caught in the middle, holding up a bridge that's starting to buckle. The storm's not over, and something's gotta give. Snow pelts the windows of Ethan's Beacon Hill apartment, a relentless drumbeat against the glass. The radiator hums, but the air feels colder, heavier, as if the storm outside has seeped into the walls. Clara's settled in, her journal now a nightly ritual, pages filling with words that claw her back from the edge. Lila and Nora's giggles pierce the quiet, a fleeting warmth, but Ethan's world is tilting. Sophie's footsteps echo as she paces the kitchen, her public defender's calm replaced by a tight-lipped strain. Ethan sits on the couch, blueprints spread across his lap, but his eyes keep drifting to Sophie, her shoulders hunched, her hands gripping a wine glass like it's a lifeline. The twins are asleep, their soft breaths a rare moment of peace. Clara's in the bedroom, writing, her pen scratching like a pulse. Sophie steps onto the small balcony, snow swirling around her, and Ethan follows, the cold biting his face. "Ethan, we need to talk." Her voice is low, sharp, like a crack in concrete. He braces himself, knowing what's coming but dreading it. "What's wrong?" he asks, though the answer's been building for weeks. Sophie turns, her eyes glinting with frustration, snow catching in her dark hair. "I'm not your priority anymore. Ethan, you're building bridges for Clara, for Lila, for Nora, but ours, it's collapsing." The words hit like a sledgehammer. Ethan's throat tightens, his engineer's mind scrambling for a fix. But this isn't steel or concrete. "Sophie, I'm trying." Clara's got nowhere else to go. His voice is steady, but inside, he's crumbling. Sophie's eyes flash, her breath visible in the freezing air. "Trying. You're gone. Ethan, you're up at 3 with Nora, changing diapers, driving Clara to therapy. I'm your wife, but I'm on the sidelines." Snow dusts her coat, and Ethan reaches for her, but she steps back, her voice breaking. "I didn't sign up to live like this, in a house where I don't belong." He wants to argue, to say she's still everything. But the truth stings. Clara and the twins have consumed him, every hour, every thought. "Sophie, please, I can't abandon her." His words hang, weak against the wind's howl. Sophie shakes her head, tears mixing with snow. "You just made your choice." She brushes past him, the balcony door slamming shut, leaving Ethan alone in the cold. The city's lights blur below, snow burying the streets, and he feels a crack split through his heart, wider than any he's ever known. Inside, Clara's still writing, unaware of the storm brewing. Ethan sinks onto the couch, blueprints forgotten, the weight of Sophie's words crushing him. Days later, Sophie starts packing slowly, quietly, her suitcase filling with clothes, her law books stacked in boxes. Ethan tries to talk, to mend what's broken, but her eyes are distant, like she's already gone. One morning, she pauses at the door, suitcase in hand. "You're a great brother, Ethan, but I needed a husband." The door clicks shut, and the sound echoes, final, like a bridge collapsing into the river. Clara looks up from her journal, sensing the shift. "Ethan, what's happening?" Her voice is soft, worried. He shakes his head, forcing a smile. "It's nothing. Clara, just keep writing." But as he picks up Lila, her tiny hand gripping his finger, he knows nothing's the same. Sophie's gone, and the snow outside keeps falling, covering the world in silence. Ethan's holding up Clara, Lila, Nora, but at what cost? The storm's not done, and he's about to face a reckoning he never saw coming. Snow swirls outside Ethan's Boston apartment, a restless churn that mirrors the storm inside him. Clara's journal has grown into a manuscript, light through the blizzard. Her words a lifeline, pulling her from the darkness. Lila and Nora's laughter fills the cramped space, but the absence of Sophie's warmth leaves a hollow ache. Ethan buries himself in work, calculating loads for a new harbor bridge, but his mind's on Clara, on the twins, on the life he's trying to hold together. Then, a letter arrives, its crisp envelope marked with Eleanor's precise handwriting. Ethan's gut twists as he tears it open, the words slicing like ice. "Clara, your book is a betrayal. You've shamed our family, turned Wellesley against us. Withdraw it, or we'll sue." Clara reads the letter at the kitchen table, her face paling, then hardening. "They disowned me. Ethan called Lila and Nora stains, and now they want to silence me." Her voice trembles, but her eyes blaze, the old fire flickering back. Ethan clenches his fists, rage surging for the parents who left Clara in the snow. "We'll fight this. Clara, you're not alone." But the threat looms, heavy as the snow piling outside. Nathaniel and Eleanor, obsessed with their pristine reputation, file a defamation lawsuit, claiming Clara's memoir, though it never names them, paints them as cruel, costing them their social standing in Wellesley's elite circles. The courtroom in downtown Boston feels like a pressure chamber, all polished wood and cold air. Ethan sits beside Clara, her hands gripping the table. Lila and Nora with a sitter back home. Nathaniel and Eleanor sit across the room, him in a starched suit, her with a rigid smile, avoiding their children's eyes. Their lawyer's voice is sharp, accusing Clara Caldwell fabricated stories for profit, dragging her family's name through the mud. Ethan's blood boils, but Clara's lawyer, Sarah, a friend from Sophie's legal circles, stands calm. She presents evidence a neighbor's security footage showing Clara shivering under that Wellesley street lamp, clutching the twins, a text from Eleanor. Don't ever come back. Clara and Nathaniel's voicemail, his voice like steel. You're a stain on this family. The footage plays, grainy but devastating. Clara's silhouette trembling in the snow. Lila and Nora bundled against her. The courtroom falls silent, a juror wiping tears. Clara takes the stand, her voice steady despite a quiver. I didn't write to hurt anyone. I wrote to heal, to tell others they're not alone. If the truth stings, that's not my fault. Ethan grips her hand under the table, pride swelling despite the ache. The judge rules in Clara's favor, the memoir's true, backed by evidence. Nathaniel and Eleanor must pay legal fees, their reputation now truly tarnished, not by Clara, but by their own actions. As they leave the courthouse, snow dusts the steps, and Clara holds Ethan's arm, her breath shaky. I just wanted them to understand, she whispers. He squeezes her hand, saying nothing. The weight of their parents' betrayal sinking in. The media pounces headlines, scream. Parents sue daughter for telling the truth. And Clara's book surges, shared across social media as a beacon for the broken. But Ethan feels no victory, only a deeper crack in his foundation. The snow keeps falling, and he knows another storm's brewing, one that'll test Clara's newfound strength and his own fraying resolve. Snow blankets Boston's streets, softening the city's edges. But the tension in Ethan's apartment is sharp as glass. Clara's memoir, light through the blizzard, is climbing bestseller lists, her words resonating with strangers who call her a hero online. Lila and Nora, now crawling, fill the space with babbles, their toys scattered across the floor. Ethan brews coffee. The machines drip a steady pulse, but his mind's on Clara. She's stronger, her fire returning, yet fragile. Then her phone buzzes, and her face drains of color. It's Derek, she whispers, clutching the screen. He wants to see Lila and Nora. Derek Harper, Clara's ex, the marketing exec who shattered her with his affair. His email pleads, Clara, I messed up. I'm sorry. Let me see our girls. Ethan's jaw tightens. Derek, with his slick suits and hollow promises, crawling back now that his life's unraveling. Fired from his firm, dumped by his mistress. Branded a coward online after Clara's book hinted at his betrayal. You don't owe him anything, Ethan says, his voice low, firm. Clara hesitates, her eyes soft. They're his daughters. Ethan, maybe he's changed. But Ethan sees the truth. Derek's not sorry, he's desperate. Using the twins to claw back his image, the harassment escalates. Derek sends teddy bears and coloring books to Lila and Nora's preschool. Notes scrawled with, I love you. The teachers call, worried. And Clara's fear grows, her hands checking the apartment's locks each night. Then, at a packed book signing in a Back Bay bookstore, Derek appears. He steps from the crowd, his once polished look, frayed hair unkempt, eyes shadowed. But that smug smile lingers. Clara, I'm sorry. He calls, loud enough to hush the room. I was wrong to leave you and the girls. Give me a chance. Phones rise, recording. As Clara freezes, her pen trembling. Ethan, backstage with Nora, starts forward, but Clara raises a hand, stopping him. Her voice cuts through, steady but fierce. Derek, if you're truly sorry, you'll leave us alone. The crowd erupts, clapping. But Derek lingers, staring, before slinking out. The clip goes viral. Splitting the internet, some call Derek a father seeking redemption, others a manipulator chasing clout. Clara's shaken, clutching Lila and Nora closer, sleeping with them instead of their cribs. Ethan's had enough. We're ending this, he says, his voice like steel. He calls Sarah, their lawyer, who drafts a restraining order, citing Derek's harassment and the emotional toll on Clara and the twins. They gather evidence: his emails, texts, the preschool gifts, the book signing video. In court, Derek sits across from them, his suit ill-fitting, his eyes pleading. Sarah's evidence is airtight, painting Derek's actions as obsession, not remorse. The judge grants a 3-year restraining order. Derek's barred from contact, ordered to counseling and parenting classes before any future petitions. Clara exhales, gripping Ethan's hand as they leave, snow dusting their coats. "Thank you," she whispers, her voice heavy with relief. Derek walks away, head down, swallowed by the storm. The city's lights flicker through the snow, and Ethan feels a fleeting calm. But the weight of Sophie's absence, the lawsuit's scars, lingers. Clara's safe, for now. But the storm's shadow looms, and Ethan knows the next fight's coming. Snow dusts Boston's streets, a gentle veil over the city's scars. As Clara's memoir, Light Through the Blizzard, ignites hearts across the country. Bookstores can't keep it on shelves, and social media hums with posts calling her a beacon for the broken. Ethan watches from the sidelines, brewing coffee in their cramped Beacon Hill apartment. The machines drip a quiet constant amid Lila and Nora's giggles. Clara's different now, her eyes spark with purpose. Her journal replaced by a laptop where she types late into the night. She's not just surviving, she's burning bright again, building something bigger than herself. Clara starts a support network for single mothers, a lifeline born from her own pain. She names it Haven in the Storm, a nod to the night Ethan found her in the snow. Women reach out, sharing stories of betrayal and resilience, and Clara listens, her fire warming them. She's invited to speak at a women's conference in Boston's Seaport District, a cavernous hall packed with hundreds. Ethan stays home with Lila and Nora, pushing them on swings at the park, their laughter a balm for his quiet ache. Clara takes the stage, her green dress catching the spotlight, her voice steady. "I was lost in the snow, abandoned, but my brother Ethan was my lighthouse." The crowd roars, and Ethan, watching the live stream, looks away, pretending to fix Nora's coat to hide the sting in his eyes. Back at the apartment, Clara's momentum grows. She's on local talk shows, her story spreading like wildfire. Ethan's proud, but the void Sophie left gnaws at him. Then, at a community event, he runs into Mia, a childhood friend from Wellesley. Her warm smile and easy laugh stir something dormant. "You're still building bridges." "Ethan," she teases, nodding at his blueprints. He shrugs, but her words linger. She pushes him to dream bigger, design sustainable bridges for Boston's future, not just patch up the present. For the first time in months, Ethan feels a spark of his own, a chance to rebuild more than Clara's life. Clara's network grows, and Light Through the Blizzard hits national bestseller lists. At a packed Boston bookstore, she signs copies, her hand steady, her smile radiant. A young woman, tears streaming, hugs her. "Your book saved me. I left my family's shadow because of you." Clara pulls her close, then looks at Ethan, holding Lila in the corner. "It wasn't just me," she says, her voice soft but clear. "My brother carried me through the dark." The crowd claps, and Ethan's chest tightens, not with pain, but with quiet pride. Snow falls outside, lighter now, like the city's exhaling. Ethan tucks Nora into her crib, her tiny hand gripping his finger. Clara sits nearby, typing her next book, her fire unquenched. Ethan thinks of Mia, of bridges yet to build, and feels a shift. The storm's not gone, but Clara's triumph, her voice, her strength is a light cutting through. He's carried her this far, but now She's lifting others, and maybe, just maybe, Ethan can find his own way forward. The city hums beyond the window, and the next chapter waits, shimmering in the snow. Snow falls gently over Boston, a soft curtain draping the city in quiet hope. Ethan's Beacon Hill apartment, once heavy with loss, hums with new life. Lila and Nora, nearly 3 now, scamper across the floor, their laughter like bells cutting through the morning chill. Clara sits at the kitchen table, typing her second book. Freedom in the light, her fingers flying over the keys. It's not just her story anymore. It's about the women she's lifted through Haven in the storm, her network for single mothers. Ethan brews coffee, the familiar drip grounding him, but his heart's lighter. Clara's fire burns bright, and he's carried her through the worst. Now she's soaring. The apartment's still cramped, toys spilling over, but it feels like home. Ethan tends a small balcony garden, mint and daisies thriving despite the snow. He thinks of Sophie sometimes, her smile a ghost in his memory. But the pain's dulled. He made his choice, and he'd make it again. Clara's book climbs bestseller lists, translated into French, Spanish, even Japanese. She's invited to speak across the country, her voice a beacon for those lost in their own storms. Ethan stays behind, pushing Lila and Nora on park swings, their chalk drawings coloring the pavement. Boston's community embraces them, calling the twins Clara's little stars. Their giggles a neighborhood treasure. Ethan's found his own path, too. Mia, his old friend, nudges him to chase his dream, designing sustainable bridges to reshape Boston's skyline. He sketches late at night, blueprints piling up, each line a step towards something new. One evening, Clara catches him at it. "Ethan, you're building again," she says, her smile warm. He nods, a quiet pride flickering. The snow outside sparkles under streetlights, no longer a threat, but a promise of renewal. At a Boston book signing, Clara shines, her green dress glowing under the lights. A young woman approaches, voice trembling. "Your words gave me courage to leave my past behind." Clara hugs her, then finds Ethan in the crowd, holding Nora. "My brother made this possible," she says, her voice breaking. "He was my anchor." Ethan looks down, adjusting Lila's scarf, but his heart swells. He doesn't need the spotlight, just this. His family, whole again. The snow keeps falling, a soft rhythm against the windows. Clara's book, her network, her strength. They're proof that storms don't last forever. Ethan's learned that too. Family isn't just blood, it's who shows up when the world turns cold. Truth can heal, even when it hurts, and sharing it lights the way for others. Sacrifice builds strength, not just for those you save, but for yourself. Ethan sits beside Clara, Lila and Nora dozing on their laps, and feels the weight lift. The city hums beyond, alive with possibility. What's your story of standing through the storm? Share it. Let it shine.